Hello and good evening and welcome to episode 30 of Montague Island Books, and very pleased to have you with us this evening. Now, our author guest today is a graduate in crime thriller creative writing, an MA graduate, I should say, a master's graduate from University City London, where he wrote his debut thriller, Guess Who, as his thesis. He told stories from an early age, writing and drawing comics, and then scripts, and finally novels. He loves golden age crime and gets incredibly excited about anything a little out of the ordinary. In his spare time, he's an actor with Durham Dramatic Society. His interests are broad, spanning film, books, theatre, and video games. You may recognise him because he's also a member of the Northern Crime Syndicate, a supergroup of writers from Northern England, and you may well have seen their videos and the little Zoom things that they do. He lives in County Durham with his partner and many, many animals, which I'm sure we'll hear more about. So welcome, Chris McGeorge. How are you? You okay?
I'm good. Yes. Great. How are you? Nice to be here.
Thanks. Great to have you with us this evening. So do you want to, I just used a little bit from your bio. It's weird because you've got two bios on Amazon. So I sort of mixed up.
I think that's the old one, but it's all pretty much still valid.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your books?
Yeah, absolutely. I did the MA in London, City University, in creative writing, crime thriller, and I did indeed write my first book, which is Guess Who, as my thesis. That's kind of why I was drawn to the course, was you had to write a whole book for your thesis, and at the time that was kind of the only course that did that. Now there's quite a few more because I think it was quite successful. I wrote Guess Who there quite quickly. Got picked up entirely from the course. It was the course that got me picked up from an anthology that they sent out to agents. And Hannah Shepherd at DHH contacted me from that. And now we're 4 books deep. Still liking
it. All about the books from sort of that first one. Tell us because from what I've read, they're very much a sort of closed room books. A lot of your books are like closed room books. So tell us more.
Yeah. So at the start, Guess Who was entirely kind of based on the idea of, because I do have an undergraduate degree in film and television production as well, where I kind of specialized in script writing. And back in those days, the 2010s, I had to create 3 short films for my end of year projects, and being students, we kind of wanted to do easy things. So
more drinking time. Is that
yes.
idea?
So I kind of became I went into it thinking it would be easy, but I kind of came into kind of a love of the bottle episode, it's called, which is a story told in one location with a set number of characters. So it, as a filmmaker, it's not so bad, as a student anyway, doing it,
Yeah.
because you only have to get one location and you only have to get four or however many people to act in it, and getting student actors is very difficult. I must say. Getting them to turn up is
yeah.
So that was kind of where I was coming from there, and I looked into bottle episodes and stuff. There's some very famous ones, a couple of episodes of Seinfeld, which are brilliant. There's one in a car park, one in a Chinese restaurant. There's an episode of Breaking Bad, which is set entirely in the lab with just Walter and Jesse, which is kind of controversial, but I love it. And so that was kind of where my background came from in that. And then going into Guess Who, I decided, could you do that with a book? So Guess Who, for the most part, is set in one hotel room. I chose a hotel room because it's entirely recognizable to everyone. Kind of, that's all you kind of have to say, hotel room, and you get
mental image.
You don't really need to describe it, which is kind of I did shoot myself in the foot a bit there, because I could have used that word count, I think. But so that's where Guess Who came from. And I think it was an easy thing for people to visualize and picture, and I think that helped with kind of getting me on this treadmill of publishing and stuff. So then we went on to Now You See Me.
Now this is on my TBR list because it's about a canal tunnel, isn't it? So I've got this down to read because it's something that I'm interested in, canals.
So Now You See Me came from, I was watching Great Canal Journeys with Prunella Scales and it's Timothy West, right? Yeah. There's another famous West I always get him confused with. Sorry, Timothy. So it came from that, and they went through Standedge Canal Tunnel in Marsden, Huddersfield, and it's the longest canal tunnel in England. And back in the day, not so much anymore, but back in the day it took 3 hours to get through, and people had to lie on the top of canal boats and push off the roof to get the boats through. So with a motor it takes around an hour and 45, something like that. So I thought, what if some people just disappeared inside there, and in a canal tunnel there's only one way in, one way out. And that was the genesis of that idea, really. And then through going to Marsden, talking to some people about the tunnel, realizing it's actually 3 tunnels interconnected. One's a train tunnel, one's a sort of dilapidated, I think it was a train tunnel as well, actually. So it was a bit more difficult than I initially thought. But that's where that came from. So that was kind of basing off the locked room as well. So then it came to Inside Out. And
this is another one that's on my TBR list. I've heard good things about it, but it's also regarding like pirate radio and hospital radio, which again is another of mine. That's
the newest one. That's
I'm getting confused. I'm going ahead now, Anna.
Inside Out's a very quick one, no way. This is a locked room prison mystery, kind of the culmination of the locked room stuff, I think, which is actually I think we do all have favorites as writers of our own books. I won't exactly tell you the order, but Inside Out is not high.
That one way of putting it, yeah.
So yeah, buy on Amazon. But it does include some of my favorite things that I've done, and it does include an ending I'm still surprised I was allowed to do. So that
took place in a prison cell, did it?
It did. Well, it took place in the prison sort of complex, which is good because it was set in 2020, so I could totally sidestep all that. So yeah, Inside Out by now. So now we're on to Half Past Tomorrow. The last one just came out.
This is the one I've heard about. Yeah.
So this is I used to do hospital radio back when I was 18, and this is based on that, and it's what if you found a radio station that predicted the news a day before it happened, and it's playing with sci-fi stuff, obviously, but it does all loop around to something a little more realistic, only a little more.
And that came out in August, did it, last month?
Yes,
yeah,
it did.
That's good. So can you maybe, for those that haven't heard about the book, can you maybe explain a little bit about, without giving anything away, what the book, what the book goes into?
Yeah. So Half Past Tomorrow is about Shirley Stedman. She's 70 years old. She works at Chestler Street Hospital Radio in the Northeast, right near where I live. And she's a loner. Her husband's died. Her daughter's a little bit estranged. Her son committed suicide about 10 years before the novel starts, and she's very lonely, so she does hospital radio to kind of break up the day, really, and then one day she finds this radio station that does seem to be telling Chestler Street news before it happens.
Wow.
And she's a little bit, she just thinks it's a bit of fun, really. I think the first thing is someone falling off a ladder, and she goes, oh yeah, I'll just have a look and see if that happened, and yeah, it did.
Wow.
And then it progresses a few days, and then eventually she tunes in to this radio station, and it's reporting a murder, and it spirals from there, as you could probably tell. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, or else people will get disappointed, especially if they're looking forward to reading it. But love that idea. So regards, I know you're quite popular on Twitter, so do you have your own website or any other social media?
I don't have a website. I wouldn't know where to start with a website. No, I don't. So Twitter is the port of call for me. I'm at CR McGeorge on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. I used to friend everyone on Facebook, but then someone started slagging me off on Facebook, so I didn't. So I kind of deleted all the readers. But if you're particularly nice, I'll friend you on Facebook. Twitter is best. I don't think I've ever not responded to a reader on Twitter, and if I have, I'm very sorry. And you can also find me at Facebook. If you type in Northern Crime Syndicate, I'll be there as well. Just always hanging out.
So for those that don't know about Northern Crime Syndicate, those few people that have never heard of it, tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so it kind of what we were going with Northern Crime Syndicate. For a start, it wasn't my idea; it was Judith O'Reilly's. So all props to her. What we were going for was, that is my Discord popping off. I hope you can't hear that.
No,
so what we were going for was a little group of writers that we could take around festivals and things like that and have panels. So it was a great idea. And our first panel was scheduled for one of the days the lockdown started, I think. So we had to quickly rethink, and we started doing online panels and online things. They're totally free. Anyone can join in at all. We do an amazing one called Whose Crime Is It Anyway, which is improv, where we all try and write a bestseller in an hour.
Yeah, love that.
It never works. You usually find my ideas insane and everyone else is trying to course correct, I think, after I speak. But so yeah, it's just a load of good fun, and I think that's exactly what we needed. This 18 months gone. We do have one coming up. So if you want, you can join the mailing list, I think, on the Facebook group.
Yeah, which is very good because you get quite a bit of notification, and then you can sign up for alerts to let you know when it's happening. So and it's normally gets quite a good turnout. So normally a lot of people turn up for that, and I've been to a few, so really enjoyed it. So that's great. So you were saying earlier about how you sort of started off script writing, and obviously you've now gone on to novels. How did you find that sort of changeover? Is there a massive difference between the two, or?
I think there is, and there isn't. I think a lot of people say my books are kind of very filmic anyway, which is a comment that can be said in a good manner or bad. Yeah. It depends your tone, and you can't delineate tone online, so I don't know. But I think definitely with Guess Who, at least trying to, my first one, going into it, it definitely was good. I felt from a sort of screenwriter's perspective, I had one room, I had 5-6 people, and it was keeping track of where everyone was at the same time, and I think that really helped from a kind of visual perspective.
Definitely, yeah. And as regards sort of, you sort of your writing process, do you tend to sort of start at page 1 and go to the end, or will you write a chapter at a time and then mix it all up, or does it sort of flow naturally?
Yeah, I try to usually, because I try to write quite quickly. I wrote the last one of my books in 60 days,
wow.
Which
good going.
Yeah, it really it's good, but then I need kind of a month break afterwards, so it kind of takes 3 months, so So yeah, I try to do it chronologically, but then, you know, sometimes I'll just wake up in the morning and go, oh, I want to write that instead. Sometimes it's because it's easier, you know. Oh, I'll write this chapter because it's easier, you know. Or, you know, towards the end, I'll usually go, oh, I'll just write the end now. And then I'll have to like match it up. But so good intentions to do it chronologically, at least. Yeah.
And what would you know, as you sort of fully into your sort of crime writing, what would you say is the is your sort of favorite part of the process, and what bit do you dislike?
I think probably my favorite part is the initial, just trying to brainstorm something. I do hope that with my books, even if people don't like them, I do hope they think at least, you know, it's a little bit out the box, out of, you know, left field.
In the box, but out the box.
So it's about brainstorming, I think, and I think a good both a good part and a bad part of my process is I think a lot. And sometimes I overthink, and sometimes I do underthink, but it's all about, you know, what would be a good idea, what hasn't necessarily been done before, or what has been done before, but there can be a little bit of a spin on it. And I find that very exciting. But usually I have to wait a while to write it. Which is maybe my least favorite part, because I have to kind of bottle that excitement. Because usually I'm editing my last one.
Right.
And I have to try and remain excited about my current one. So maybe that's my least favorite. My other least favorite thing, I still haven't really got the hang of editing very well. Yeah, I do think sometimes my brain is like one of those writable CDs that you can only write on once. You can only write on once, but you bought it thinking it's a rewritable, and then you go back to do it again and you just can't. So I'm I'm trying to get better at this. I'm currently doing editing now, and it's just copy and paste. It's such a draw. But no, I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my best.
Great, sounds good. And it, as you said, from you know, your descriptions of the books, you've already said, it's a closed room thing or a closed boundaries, but they, you know, the storylines are completely different. Some things you've not heard of before, you know, like the, you know, the pirate radio station, and the, you know, the canal, the going missing in canal and things, canal tunnel and things like that. So the things that you know you've not heard of, which is great. So what we'll do now, Chris, is we will get you ready and get your suitcase, get your sort of your suitcase open, and we will start packing, ready to send you off to the island.
Excellent.
Now, for those that don't know, who haven't seen the show before, how dare you? This Montague Island is a fictional island created by Mike Craven for his book, The Curator. And if anyone's read that, it's a great book, and I recommend you go out and read it. But Montague Island is a fictional island based off the coast of Cumbria. So it's not a desert island. It is a wet and windy and probably radioactive island off the coast of Cumbria. But that is where the, you know, the sort of the island is set. And people who go to the island can take 7 books with them, and 7 of their favorite books and some other items which we'll go through. When they arrive on the island, there is a fictionary Kindle waiting for them with all the Tilly & Poe books from Mike Craven, say as a nod to the name of the show. So what is your first book going to be that you're going to pack?
Right. Well, I don't think this will be a surprise for anyone who knows me at all. So my first book is where it all started for me, really. It's And Then There Were None, Agatha Christie.
Super, yeah.
Unfortunately, I could only find this edition. Yeah. I don't know if it's just me. I'm not a fan of the film TV editions of books. I don't know if that's a widely sentiment.
I think so. I think basically if you read the book, the film can be a bonus, but it can be a disappointment.
This actual adaptation is great, the BBC one, a few years ago. But yeah, And Then There Were None, when I originally read it, was just a revelation, really. Kind of just how crime books could be these tricksy kind of games. Anyone who hasn't read it, first of all, read it. Second of all, it's about 10 people who get invitations to go to this remote island off the coast, and they get picked off one by one. Wow. By this weird absent host, and hopefully you can see a kind of through line there about kind of between that and kind of my books as well. And I just think the way it's written, it's so pacey. It's not a long book at all. You can read it, really quickly. You'll power through it. So that's my first pick.
Great, wonderful choice. As you say, that is something that you've read. It's also you've read sort of quite a while ago. It's inspired you in your writing, and something that you'll probably read again and again. So that's a great choice to start us off with. So what's book number 2 going to be?
Okay, I'm just looking and seeing if we want to go in some kind of order here.
Doesn't matter which order you want to do.
All right. It's just the next one on the pile. Okay, so it's Stephen King. Ooh. But it's Needful Things.
Oh, I don't know if I've read that one actually. So go on, tell us why you chose that and tell us a little bit about it.
So this book, it is my favorite Stephen King. I think that is a weird choice. I don't know why, because obviously it's my favorite. It's about his town, his fictional town, Castle Rock in Maine. And a stranger opens up a shop there. And it's a shop where you can basically buy what you desire the most. Oh. And that sounds great, but eventually it turns out to be horrendous.
Wow.
And basically, it's a very old book, but basically I think Stephen King went into this book going, I want to destroy something I've created. And he does. But it's through a very, 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 it's almost like a ripple in a pond. It's so clever. So it's about if the devil opened a shop. So that is Needful
Great
Things.
Strapline, if the devil opened a shop,
I do believe he actually is the devil. It's been a few years, but I think he is.
But I've not heard of that one, so that's a great one because there's so many great Stephen King books, and that sounds a little bit different. So yeah, great. I can understand why you're taking that one. So what's your third book going to be then, Chris?
Okay. 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 So this is if you haven't heard of this, you haven't heard me talk anywhere, because I always mention this author. She should pay me. So this is Sarah Lotz. I miss the camera every single time. This is Sarah Lotz. This is day 4. This is her second kind of book in this kind of series. I believe she has written books before.
Yeah.
So day 4 actually is the second book, so it's kind of contingent on the fact you.
So was the first book day 1 by any chance?
No, it was called Duffery. But day 4 is about a cruise ship that just stops one day in the middle of the sea, and they can't get it going again, and it just stops, and they're all stranded. And then weird stuff starts happening. It's not a straight crime book. Weird stuff starts happening. Ghosts start appearing. There is an illness going around because the toilets aren't getting evacuated or anything.
Yeah.
Food is scarce. So it's all about this cruise ship and what's going to happen. And it's called day 4. There's 4 days. And it gets really, really disgusting. But
is it like a horror book, or
kind of. The great thing about her books is they are horror, but they do kind of, it can be said for horror in general. It comments on our world, basically. Yeah. Day 4 is very connected with the 3, though, which happens a lot towards the end, this might have the craziest ending I've ever read, really. And I could see a lot of people not liking it, and that is precisely why I love it. Yeah. So yeah, definitely
a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And as I say, when you're going to be stuck away on an island, you need books that are going to give you a bit of variety, and a bit different, don't you? So we're now on to book 4. So what's the 4th one going to be?
Absolutely. So it's been a few years, so I did go on Amazon to read a synopsis. It is hailed as a modern classic, which is good, because it should be. This is the only book I've ever read, including the ones I've already picked, that I would say is probably perfect. So it's The Secret History, Donna Tartt. Just phenomenal. It's about a weird set group of students who get a bit carried away, let's say, with their kind of studies, and it leads to the death of one of the students, and it is all about how the other students try and cover it up, basically. It is a modern classic, so apparently, which it should be.
Is it crime, mainly crime?
It is. Crime? Yeah, it is. Yeah. The only thing I would say is I'm still not sure about the cover, but yeah.
Yeah, the book can sometimes make or break it, can't it? But it's what's inside the cover that's more important. So that's great. And what's the next book going to be? The 5th book?
Okay, let's go. So I read this 2 years ago, I think.
What, for the first time?
Yeah.
So this is quite a new one today.
I think it was only out like 2 years ago. which is weird because I had books from this year, which I don't really like to include because it's like recency bias.
Yeah.
So this book is The Binding, Bridget Collins.
Yeah.
This is about what if you could take someone's memories and write them down in a book and basically steal them. And this is about a young guy who wants to become one of these binders. And he goes away to the city to become a binder. He has to learn it. And eventually, as time goes on, he starts to realize that maybe he has been bound himself and he can't remember something from his past. It's quite a big book, but I think I'm a slow reader and I read it in like 2 days. So
yeah. Is that sort of more like historical? Is it sort of based in the future or past? Or?
No, I only read it once. I need to reread it. I believe it's alternate sort of world. I don't believe it's an actual place it's set in. It is kind of the world it's set in is less advanced than ours though. So yeah.
Yeah, great. That sounds very interesting. Again, something different. So you've got a good sort of variety there. So what's number 6 going to be, Chris? That case must be getting quite heavy now.
Oh, we got a big one left. I'll go for this one because it's not crime. I'll end on a crime. So this one is House of Leaves. By Mark. So Mark wrote.
What's Mark's surname?
Danielewski. Okay. So Mark. So it's so House of Leaves is kind of the ultimate haunted house novel, basically. It's about a film that doesn't exist about the House of Leaves, which is a film about a photographer who buys this house with his family, his young family, and he finds a door in this house, and it leads off into this infinite labyrinth, where there could be all manner of things. I've read it twice, and it's one of those books that you could spend your life trying to figure out this book. It's told through multiple. It's very impenetrable, I will say. If you are even thinking of going there. It's told through a manuscript, which is told through a diary, which is told through like a description of the film. So it's very there's actually a podcast that's dedicated. Every episode does 1 page of it.
Wow.
So I think House of Leaves, it's not a
light read.
It's not. But if you do get through it, it's very rewarding as well. So I could definitely spend ages trying to figure that one out. Yeah. So
very complex, and again, it's quite a big book as well, isn't it? So that's a good one. And what is your final book going to be?
So my last one, it's 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, the mad lad he is. So this book is billed as Groundhog Day murder mystery, which is crazy as it is. It's set in this manor house where there's a party, the Hardcastles, and at the end of the night, Evelyn Hardcastle, the daughter figure. I hope I'm getting all this right, Stuart, if you ever listen. She dies, and then the guy wakes up again. Now that's very clever, and that's how I came into the book. But actually, the protagonist wakes up in different bodies every time. Wow. So he's a different character, and he has he kind of performs as such, which is even more clever.
Yeah.
But then you notice that actually he's waking up as these different characters every time, but actually he's existing 7 different times, so he can potentially go and talk to himself.
Wow. How do you get that in a book?
I know, every single time. So he's doing stuff, and then he can do stuff for himself, or he has to do stuff that he's already done in previous times. Wow. But also one of your characters can go to sleep at some point and potentially wake up later. so if you go on loop, let's call them loops, if you're on loop 2 and you get knocked out by a guy or something, then you'll wake up on loop 3. But if loop 3 guy dies, then you might go back to loop 2 guy when he wakes up. So it's just incredibly, I don't understand how this happened.
You like your complex books, Chris.
I know. I do not understand how Stuart did this. Yeah. But he did.
Stuart, if you're listening, we need you on the show.
Yeah,
come along and explain how.
I can be his +1.
Yeah.
I'll be your friend.
But, that is.
It's crazy, and if any of that sounds appealing to anyone, I mean, you've got to read it. You just have to. It is becoming a Netflix show, but I still think it hasn't. I mean, it's achieved a hell of a lot. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I still wake up every morning going, why is everyone not talking about this? Yeah.
And because you know that it's going to be a Netflix show, have you sort of got a sort of vision in your mind of certain characters?
I don't think so anymore. Maybe I did when I read it. When did it came out? 3 years ago, I think, when I read it. Maybe I did at the time, but not so much anymore. It's more, I have an idea of how I would approach it.
Yeah.
For example, I would have incredibly variable episodes. Like maybe one episode is only like 10 minutes long.
Ooh.
If someone gets knocked out.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes, then I would cut it there and move on. That's not going to happen because that's not how TV works at all. But I am very excited about it because it will expose it more. I do hope, I don't know who's doing it. I know Netflix are producing it.
Yeah.
I just really hope they do a good job.
Be interesting because it's a very complex story that you've explained, and you think, how is that going to translate to TV, but or to film. But yeah, that's great. So another great book that's really going to play with your head while you're on the island. So that's all your 7 books selected. Now we believe that on the island there is about an hour a day of electricity, so you can play some music and play a film. So the next thing you get to select is 1 CD that you would take to the island. So what would you take as a CD, Chris? Now that can be, music, it can be like an audiobook recording, or or a playlist of your own.
So I was thinking music. It would definitely be classical. I'm a big fan of soundtracks and how they kind of add to films and things like that. I do listen to a lot more classical than kind of, I guess, like contemporary kind of music. So it would definitely be something like that. I always come back to Sanson, who did Dance Macabre, which is a Jonathan Creek theme tune. I always come back to that. I had a CD of that when I was a kid, so maybe that.
So maybe that, or maybe like a compilation of different film scores and things like that.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, that's maybe, but definitely a classical sort of compilation of some kind. And what about DVD? Now, with a DVD, it could be a film, TV series, concert footage, whatever. So, what would you choose as a DVD?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. I think it would be very specific. It would be season 2 of Community, the sitcom, which I watched. Community is quite it's still very underground. It came to Netflix a while ago and kind of blew up a little bit, but it's still quite underground. And I think Community, definitely season 2, kind of reignited my love of storytelling in general, I think. And it does play with bottle episodes as well. Those episodes that I like with just a limited amount of characters and stuff. So it'd definitely be that, probably.
And why, without giving anything away, why season 2?
Because it's the only TV show season, definitely as a sitcom, where every episode is a banger. Every episode, there's like 22 episodes, and they're all just amazing. Yeah,
great. Yeah, so that'd keep you going. So the next item you can take is a food item. Now this can be like a meal, it can be a favorite ingredient. Obviously, we're on like a fantasy kind of island, so it can be something that just continually keeps appearing or never ending, or whatever you want to put it. So what would you take as a food or food ingredient?
Well, I have quite recently become vegan, so I don't eat much. There you go. There's a vegan joke. So I would probably take dark chocolate. Checking it's vegan, of course. But yeah, I would probably take that, and
So if there was, how can I put this? If there was, if it was pre-vegan, before you went vegan, or is there something like that since you became vegan you really miss? What would that be?
Cheese.
Cheese. Yeah. So, so that's just
vegan cheese.
Yeah,
vegan cheese is not very good.
It doesn't sound very nice, really, no, but I'm sure, give it time. I'm sure somebody will.
Someone needs. Someone's working hard.
Yeah, someone will master it and make them believe. But yeah, that's great. So, a big block of chocolate to take with you. So that's great.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the final item to take with you is a luxury item. Now, as I say, it is a fantasy, so it can be as mad and as wacky and as big and wonderful as you want it to be. But what would you take as a luxury item to the island?
I think there's definitely one that I would need to take, which is probably a sleep mask.
Mask.
Kind of, I just can't sleep without the sleep mask. So I'd have to take that, unfortunately, which, the slot is gone. What would I like to take? I don't my Chihuahua, maybe, because I just like to see that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him on a deserted island.
Yeah.
Just see what happens.
Well, I think considering, I think we'll let you take both, because it sounds like you need the sleep mask and the Chihuahua will be great for you. So I think we'll let you take both. But great choices, Chris, and really appreciated you. You obviously spent a bit of time thinking about all of these, so that's great. Now, just finally before we go, just in case there's anyone, this will go up on YouTube tomorrow, and on social media, but just in case there's anyone who's flicking through and maybe hears more of the end than the beginning, do you want to just tell them your books and where they can get them? One thing I forgot to ask, which you can mention when you tell us about them, is are the books available just in paperback and ebook, or are there audio books and things like that? So, but you can tell us about that as you go through them. All
right. So, hi, I'm Chris. My first book, Guess Who? Not locked room, closed circuit mystery in a hotel room, almost entirely set in one room, is out now. It's on Amazon, paperback and audio. These are all audio, by the way, if I forget to mention. Now you see me set in Huddersfield in the Standedge Canal Tunnel. 5 people go missing inside it, and no one knows why. That's out now as well. Amazon, Waterstones, Forum Books, anywhere that you want to support. Inside Out, Prison, Locked Room Mystery. The best one, no. I'm weighing it out because I said the worst one earlier. So that's out now as well. Amazon, audio, paperback, and the newest one, Half Past Tomorrow, about a radio station that reports the news 24 hours before it happens, is out now as of August 5th.
And is that audiobook as well?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So audio, paperback, and ebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, ebook. Yes, they're all ebooks.
Yeah. And just remind people of where they can find you on social media.
Yep. Best place is just Twitter. I respond to everyone as long as you're nice. You can still be critical, just be nice, at CR McGeorge on Twitter. Facebook, I don't go on as much, but you can try me on Facebook, or Facebook, the Northern Crime Syndicate. Try and, find them. I don't know if it's Northern Crime Syndicate or Northern Crime Writing Syndicate, because I think Northern Crime Syndicate is a weird thing to put into Facebook, but you can try it. And we've got a Whose Crime Is It Anyway coming up, which I'll be there for, trying to derail it as usual.
When is that, Chris?
I think it's the end of the month. I don't think we've actually nailed down a date. but it's like towards the end of September, I think.
But again, if you look on that website, they will be able to get more on the Facebook page.
You can
get more info there when it comes out.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
So I hope to see you there.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you back at the end of the month. Just to remind people quickly what we've got coming on, we've actually got 2 Montague Island sessions next week. We have, let me just find it on my sheet. So on the 15th, that's next Wednesday, we have Gemma Rogers. That is in relation to The Babysitter, her new book, which gets released on the 14th, the day before. And then on the 16th of September, the Thursday, we have Jonathan Peace and his new book, his debut crime book, Dirty Little Secret, is out tomorrow. So they're the next sort of couple of sessions we've got coming up. Any authors out there that want to come on the show, by all means, get in touch and we'll arrange that. Anyway, Chris, many thanks for your time this evening.
And thank you
for catching up with you again soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank
Cheers.
you for
Thank you.
having me on. Bye.
Bye.